Hey guys, there she is. Hey,
Hi.
sorry I was late. I had something very important to attend to, which was sending a super thanks to our friend Brian Lane.
Okay.
Hopefully, it was his very first one. He got monetized. He got
Yeah.
accepted today. Yep, a lot of hard work on Brian's part. Um, a lot of ups and downs, but he persevered. And here he is. If you guys see him on the YouTube streets, make sure to support him. Send him some love. Send him some super chats.
Brian Lane. Okay. Greetings. Hi, Chipmunk. Hi, Cat and Jack. Who's saying yogi, yogi, yogi? Just one yogi there.
Just young. You remember
If you
that
if you say it 3 times, like the magic happens. Chipmunk.
um, there's a story of Emerson receiving a letter from Thoreau on how to live a life of purpose, and he said, "Simplify, simplify, simplify." And Emerson sent him a letter back and said, "I believe that one simplify would suffice." Uh,
Yeah. Good. I was hoping you'd tell me a joke today. Actually.
um, hey, Stitch, how are you? I have a question for you.
Okay.
How does forgiveness look for you? Meaning your practice. How do you practice forgiveness, you personally?
Wow, great question. Well, I definitely have to ask for help with that because, first of all, it's like I go through a thing where I recognize that what I'm seeing with my eyes, or most often too, what I'm thinking about, um, is just what I want is the truth, not what is the truth. So, kind of make that distinction between that there's two things, there's the truth, and then there's what I'm seeing. And then allowing the idea that therefore I'm not seeing um how things really are, or rather I'm seeing something that's not there. And so asking that, kind of myself in a certain way, I suppose, um to have again that little willingness to um accept that there is a greater picture, which isn't my projection of things, which isn't my projection of illusions. But asking, most of all, it's asking.
One of my favorite things is always that little willingness.
Yeah, it's beautiful,
Ev-
isn't it?
Everything changes with just a little willingness.
It's a crack in the door. Who was it? It was one of those poets. I want to say Emily, somebody, maybe, who just said, just remember to leave uh, a crack in the door to your soul. Just leave a little bit there open. You know, yeah.
Um, Corinne Zupko offered even a little more, a little less, I should say, of a window.
Mhm.
Can you have a little willingness to have some willingness? Can you have a little
Yeah,
willingness to have a little willingness? Just
sure.
open
Got to
that
start
crack
somewhere.
just a little bit. It's important. Kat brought this up this morning in the live stream. How important it is to remember we're not going to do it. We're not the ones who ultimately are forgiving. We're just
Hmm.
the ones who are having the willingness to suffer less.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
because
It's yeah, a willingness. It's like, um, to the extent that we can do that, have that willingness.
right.
Mm.
One of the things I've been working on is um, I love the lesson "Love is a light in which I forgive,"
Okay.
and having a little willingness and asking, "Can you help show me the light
Yeah.
in which I can forgive? can I extend love to this person and see the light or situation or event within them? And then if I'm on point, if I feel like I'm on point, if I open up to receiving the help, the light grows and it feels very genuine and very real,
Hmm.
and I feel better. We had an important question from Sissy this morning. Soul Stars. Um, how do you know uh, when you've forgiven, or what if it keeps coming back? If you keep uh, you feel like you've forgiven, and we'll see if when she comes in.
Hmm.
I'll get her to
No,
clarify.
they're great questions, and what I would suggest even there for anybody who's even vaguely interested, just these like last 2 days, I've been rereading um, the part of forgiveness that's in the Song of Prayer book, and looking at all those different, types of forgiveness to destroy. So to start on the right foot and make sure one is not attempting to um, substitute it says that forgiveness is the most misunderstood concept of all, like of all the concepts to understand, forgiveness is the one that is most like completely switched around to the contrary, and it goes through all those steps about how forgiveness is used to destroy and how that's not forgiveness.
Right.
But I I don't know if I want to talk about that so much because it's really hard when people um try to define things by what they're not. But in the case of forgiveness, because it is so frequently misunderstood, I think it could be recommended.
Um, Two things we want to ask you then.
Okay.
One thing from our friend Keith. If you could offer a little guidance on this. Not a question, but he says that the only acceptable forgiveness is a change of behavior, and I know that you'll have a different. Uh,
Yeah, no, I don't. I think that behavior follows mind, and I really believe that it's again. a lo- what did you just say? It's the light in which I
right.
forgive.
Wait a
That
minute.
that light in
Has
the
have the
door.
tables been turned here? Has the wagger become the waggy? Are you wagging that
Yeah,
pencil at me?
shaking the pencil at you.
I'm not used to being on this end of the wagging stick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And what else I did? I found my bell.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so Kenneth Wapnick and Gary Renard actually consistently point out um, that this is not a course in behavior. It's not a course in effect. It's a course in cause. Um,
Yeah, it's what you want. What we are, before it's what we've done, there's what we want. And so we want to be clear about what we want, right?
right.
It has,
And I think that's a perfect example of forgiveness to destroy. I've forgiven you, now change.
yeah, that's one. It's like that's one kind of forgiveness to destroy, but there are several. You
Right.
know, you know, pretending that you can see something that um I guess where the what the course says about it is a selective remembering of only the loving thought but not of our selection. So if it's of our selection, we're judging,
Right.
and this is a good behavior, this is a bad behavior, this is an acceptable behavior, this is a not acceptable behavior. No. And the 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 problematic part of judgment is that um it doesn't work. It doesn't.
No,
It
because
has no relation to the truth. Literally
right,
no relation to the truth whatsoever.
the only acceptable judgment is judgment of the Holy Spirit,
Right.
um, and uh, all of our judgment is based upon interpretation, and our interpretation is never the actuality. Going back to, I forget who first said it. Um, the map is not the territory, and the menu is not the meal.
It's also in the last unanswered question. And the last unanswered question um, is kind of makes all the other things, it makes it about what's eternal, and that's a very hard idea, eternity for people to wrap their heads around. But I think if we're really sincere about, you know would you want the truth, even if it was not what you thought it was, because it's not what you think it is. Like, it's
Right.
one of those weird things of like, gee, I really hope I'm mistaken. know, I hate for this world to be, the nightmare that I carry around in my mind. There's got to be
Um,
a better way. you
yeah,
know.
and outwardly, there's I don't remember where it is in the course offhand. Um, a way of moving through the world, um, more at ease and more peaceful, and that we smile more frequently, and that um, we're unrecognized by those who uh, aren't practicing forgiveness, or those who aren't, uh, and we're recognized by those who do. There's that gentle smile of recognition,
Mhm.
um, and that's the nature of forgive for me. Forgiveness is it's always an inside job, and you're not expecting to see an outer change. Um, it may happen, but your how you view things, there's someone else's behavior will no longer affect you because you've forgiven it. Now you're no longer uh, at that point where you are reactive to everything the world throws at you. In that state of forgiveness, we're able to look at it as you love to say, with selective remembering.
Yeah. The other thing that's really kind of cool about it is, if you talked about levels a little bit, but if you kind of enter into that dimension of forgiveness, meaning um, you're preferring, you're welcoming to recognize that whatever else you were seeing um, eh, just didn't really occur, you know. And so that's what you're seeing with somebody else, like whatever they were looking at or whatever they did or whatever, it didn't really occur in the greater scheme of things. And when that happens, it frees us up. It frees us up from, our sense of guilt or inadequacy or difficulty or whatever. um yeah,
I
it's
would,
miraculous.
it
Truly.
is, I
Yeah.
would absolutely love though if it was a course in behavior, because I would go around saying, I forgive you, now be different. I forgive you, now quit getting on my nerves. I forgive you, now get out of my way. Now we're talking magic, that I can, um, what I do will affect you and make you change, which is magical thinking, according to
Yeah,
me.
but oh, I remembered the part that I forgot. The part that I was remembering that I thought was so beautiful is in that other dimension, in the dimension of forgiving, we're all equal. Like equal, equal, not only equal, but we're like the same. So uh, that's where it doesn't work with behavior, because that behavior again is implying that somebody change or somebody do, and then it's just like dog training or something. It's
Right.
like Pavlov mess. And what's problematic there is then you get, dominant and submissive, and it's all this um it changes realm basically. It leaves the realm of equality.
Right. And I think that I think where we often are mistaken is when we believe we are the healer, or we are the forgiver, that we're the ones doing it
Yeah.
instead of it being done
No.
through us. I want to read something from the course. It is pointless to believe that controlling the outcome of misthought can result in healing. When you're
Yeah.
fearful you have chosen wrongly, that is why you feel responsible for it. You must change your mind, which is what you were saying, not your behavior. And this is a matter, our favorite thing, this is a matter of willingness. You do not need guidance except at the mind level. Exactly what you were saying. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Change does not mean anything at the symptom level where it cannot work.
Yeah, I'm going to name a really funny example of something that happened one time in my life. I mean, it's a silly example, but it gives a little bit of like the dynamic of mind and behavior. So I had a job. I was working in San Francisco. This is like, I want to say like 40 years ago. And I was working at a print shop, and the boss at the print shop had was pregnant, and she was the only woman in the shop, and she was pregnant, and so she hired me, another woman, to go into the print shop um, to help out when she was away for maternity leave. Okay, fine. Turns out it stepped into this kind of like landmine in that this woman was just horrendous, like really horrendous, like just a um, kind of dictator, mean. I don't want to say the bitchy word, but um, nobody liked her. All the guys in the shop, and they were all guys except for her, they all despised her because she wasn't very pleasant. And so then she was going to come back, and I was tired of that job, and I wanted to get a different job. And I, uh, I, I realized like that I can't judge her because I've never uh, been in her shoes. Like I can't really say that everything is so horrible that way because I've never been in her shoes. So I take that decision to not judge, basically. And uh, right, I mean, the same day, the very same day that I made that decision, I got a new job, which was the job that I wanted, and it was her job. I mean, I just was so that I could learn what it was like to be in her shoes. Basically, not at that place, at a different place, but it was just like leaving the door open, and then something wild and crazy happened. Oh, and for this other new job, I had zero experience, none. It was like
Well,
completely random. It was like me and 175 other applicants, and they chose me for a job for which I had no experience. So it's like really random, but happened to be the job that she had.
I'm going to say hi to our friend Sigmund's grandmother real quick, Miss Jill.
Oh yeah.
She's
Hi.
going to physical therapist is on the way. The physical therapist is on the way. She's not going.
Okay.
Have a good session. And I want to say hi to Coffee Cake. Hey, Coffee Cake.
Hello, coffee
Um,
cake. Love and bish.
Rain in Texas, Lady Sky.
Hello, Lady Sky.
I want to
What's
point
out
out that
there?
the forgiveness that we're talking about, as I love to point out, I actually wrote about it this morning, um, is more akin to Zen than it is to what we traditionally think of as forgiveness. That uh, here in this, the Zen state is, you know, there's always Zen mind is beginner's mind. Uh, and we are truly putting ourselves in that beginner as if I am seeing you in the light of our original innocence of who you truly are for the first time. I'm not seeing the past. That doesn't mean that we lose discernment. Doesn't mean that, all of a sudden we allow past behavior to rush in and affect us all over again because, hey, the slate is clean. Come on in and hurt me all over again. Um, It's saying that I see the original innocence within you. I see who you truly are. I see the child of God, the Christ mind within you, um, and nothing else.
Well, and it's also saying, it's kind of confirming that that's what you want to see. Like, I don't want to see, that I prefer to see the Christ in somebody else. I prefer to not see a projection of my illusions. I prefer to not see,
Right.
where I'm boxing myself up or anybody else up in some, circuity of negativity or illusion. Like, why?
Especially when we know the alternative, when we know the peace that is delivered, when we do um, allow ourselves, when we do ask for help to see that light within another, which always
Mhm.
brings me to lesson 122. What could you want forgiveness? Forgiveness cannot give. Do you want peace? Forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness, a quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, and a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world? Do you want care and safety and the warmth of shore protection always? Do you want a quietness that cannot be disturbed, the gentleness that never can be hurt, a deep abiding comfort and a rest so perfect it can never be upset? Which is basically they're saying, do you want to be enlightened?
Yeah, or if, given your druthers, if you had the choice between um like clinging on to wants that hurt yourself, oh, or choosing another light, which would you go for?
Right. I'm reading some of the comments on forgiveness. My
Mhm.
instructor says forgiveness isn't about the offense. It's about letting others' actions determine your feelings and thusly color your heart negatively, which can change your heart.
That's giving others a lot of power, but I'm glad they brought that up. Who said that? I'm glad that they mentioned that, because you know when I'm talking about forgiveness, I'm talking about um being forgiving. I'm not looking for it, from others. So it's not about whatever kind of power they might have with what they're doing or thinking or whatever. It's about me determining for myself, not by myself, with help,
Right.
what works, what I want to see, basically.
Um, you might have heard me mention this before. Terry Cole Whitaker, who was an author back in the 70s, 80s, I think 90s too. She passed
Mhm.
away maybe 5, 6 years ago. Um, she had a bestseller, and it always reminds me of what the course kind of uh, doesn't say overtly, but it seems to be the message. Wonderful title for the book. What you think of me is none of my business,
Right. Yeah.
and it really does. Um, Forgiveness almost gives you an immunity to.
You're right. I agree. I mean, I agree in the sense that if like you say, you start with yourself and you're going, there, I'm preferring another way than projecting my illusions onto people, or just choosing to recognize, if possible, that what I'm seeing or what I'm thinking they're doing isn't really occurring in truth, then then I can let them have that too, that freedom. That's really giving people freedom from their own illusions, freedom from
Right.
their own minds, in a certain sense.
Which was a huge drawing point for me in the course, and why um, I think above all else, it became my path. Obviously, I absolutely love yoga,
Hmm.
uh, and the practice of yoga develops a wonderful sense of awareness, in which everything just resides in that awareness.
Hmm.
Uh, as I was talking to Kat earlier, and we were talking about how uh, the observer is never affected by that which is observed, which is where yoga leads you to.
Hmm.
Practicing forgiveness, as offered by the Course, puts you there immediately. Forgiveness, when done in this radical way,
Hmm.
again, it's a Zen state of awareness of that truly what you are offering me is none of my business because I accept it all in love. I'm immune. I think Abraham Maslow, when he was asked, uh, what's one of the symptoms of being a self actualized person? And he said a self actualized person is independent of the good opinion of others. And that liberation, that freedom that the Course offers through forgiveness was very appealing to me that because I felt very affected by the outer world. I felt very affected by people. I felt very affected by people's opinions. Um, and I was unhappy. The Course offered me happiness.
It's a real eye opener. Then again, when you, and it's not always like a great feeling when you see when it becomes kind of evident that all this kind of that at least in my case, and I'm not going to speak from my personal experience, but uh, when I see that I've been putting out stuff that is not, not lovely or is judgmental or is, from my own sense of guilt, like when it says, all the forgiveness to destroy examples that they have in that book, I've tried them all. you know, no question. So, yeah, I have a question actually for you, Eric, as well, which is a little bit off topic with the course precisely, kind of a little bit. But I'm thinking you're somebody who could give a really great answer. I'm thinking, not to set you
No,
up for
no,
failure.
yeah, no pressure. That's okay. No pressure.
Which is what do you so this is going to sound like a really kind of dumb question maybe, especially coming from me, from me, but because it's something that comes up sometimes. There are people, it seems, in the world who have correlated God with religion. Now, I know that you're not religious, and I'm not religious either. We're not really religious, either one of us, in the sense that we don't, go to a church or even an ashram. We don't,
Right.
left, synagogue, mosque, none of it. We don't. We're not card carrying, identifiable anything religious wise, except that you're a yogi. But then again, that you're a soloist in that sense.
Right.
So how do you navigate, or how when people correlate God with religion? Like, if you're not a religion, then what's God to you? Or um, explain to me how you believe in God if you're not religious.
I haven't compartmentalized God. That's it.
Okay, that's a stop. Full stop.
Full stop. To I go for the experience of God
Okay.
above all else.
Okay.
Um, and the experience of God cannot be compartmentalized. That I don't want to experience God as a Christian. I don't want to experience God as even in a sect of Christianity.
Hmm.
I don't want to experience God through the lens of the Bhagavad Gita um, or through the Quran. I just want the experience of God. and that's the state of lovingness itself. So the with me, the practice of yoga removes those filters that has me see God through a religion.
Okay.
And one of the things that I loved right from the beginning, sometimes I think if I had never gotten past the introduction of A Course in Miracles, I would have been entirely better off than having not read it.
Mm.
Um, that for me, the practice of yoga and practice of the Course is right as the Course says, removing the barriers of love. And that's why meditation and breath work, forgiveness are all means of removing those barriers. And love and God are synonymous. So the more I love, the more I experience God. That's my church.
Well,
But now
excuse me?
that's my church. But now that I
Okay.
know that you've suggested that maybe I get a card, um, so I can hand it out. I love I you and I mentioned this. I don't remember this time or last time. Hey, Parjat, um, when Bill Thetford retired, and he was asked, "So what are you doing now?" His
Forgiving full time, yeah.
full time, um, and really, that's what I'm doing. I don't want anyone to think that I'm good at it. I'm practicing. Um,
All right.
I'm practicing to
I
get
like
good.
who would judge that anyway? Like God, you're really lousy at forgiving, man. You've been working at it so long and you're still not like acing it. You've
Right.
been doing this for 20 years and you still like.
Surprisingly, it can happen fairly often. If you talk about forgiveness, then you are expected to be forgiving 24/7. And here's the wonderful thing: is I'm not, but I can also almost instantly begin to forgive myself for not always being forgiving, which returns me back to a forgiving state for everyone. It's such a forgiveness 24/7 is a wonderful thing because um, it means I was talking about with Kat. Everything's a forgiveness opportunity,
Yeah,
and
I was going to
it's
say
okay.
that is one of the beauties of it is that it's always there. It's always there as a possibility, as a potential. It's always there. There's never a time when, well, a time that you can perceive in any case. There's never a time that you can perceive where forgiveness is not a possibility.
But our friend Mind Stretcher says the problem is forgiveness isn't tolerance, which is true. But at the same time, I find that my tolerance has expanded through the practice of forgiveness, meaning that and I don't mean tolerance as in I will allow you to abuse me or abuse someone else,
Right.
but that my tolerance has grown for the uh, my ability to see that light within
Hmm.
another, my own tolerance of good.
No, all I was going to say was I agree with you. Who said that I can't get back to it? It says forgiveness requires intention. Forgiveness isn't tolerance. That's mind stretcher. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that it isn't tolerance, but I just wanted to say that uh, the idea of tolerance already kind of implies that there's a judgment that's taken place. So it's something different, really, than recognizing uh, uh, that that something didn't occur.
Right, right. So here's what the manual for teachers says, because tolerance is one of the uh, 10 characteristics of God's
That's,
teachers.
yeah, to be tolerant, right?
God's teachers do not judge, which is what you were
Hmm.
saying. To judge is to be dishonest, for to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Judgment without self deception is impossible. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your brothers. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? Judgment implies a lack of trust, and trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. Let this be lost, and all his learning goes. Without judgment are all things equally acceptable for those who could judge otherwise. Without judgment, all men are brothers. For who is there who stands apart? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. And there was another, I'm not sure if I can find it, where the reason we can't judge is because we can't see, and you and I were talking about this for others or previously, that we can only see our interpretation.
Yeah, or what it is that we want. Basically, we are continually projecting what we want, and what we want isn't necessarily um, the truth. On better days, at better times, when we actually like come around, maybe it is
Right,
the truth. But it's to to be in a state of continually consistently uh preferring the truth to our illusions. That's some that does take practice. I think it does.
right.
Certainly in my case it does, yeah.
Um, if I spell this correctly, no
Hmm.
guarantee. Interpretation. I already spelled it wrong. ENTERP.
Inter
Hold on.
Pretation.
One more time. INTER.
Interpre Pre.
Nope, I did not get it. I wish that the Foundation Inner Peace website had a spell check correction. I would be much quicker.
Oh, I could do it. I could get my computer and bring it in here and look it up if that's what you want to do. You wanted to look up the word interpretation?
Yep. I got it.
I'm trying to remember what it said. Projection makes perception. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
And
it.
here in chapter 3, perception versus knowledge. Um,
Hmm.
you can see in many ways because perception involves interpretation, and this means that it is not whole or consistent. The miracle of being a way of perceiving is not knowledge. It is the right answer to a question. But you do not question when you know. Questioning illusions is a first step to undoing them. Since perception change, their dependence on time is obvious. How can you perceive at any given time determines what you do. An action must occur in time. Knowledge is timeless because certainty is not questionable. Do you know when you have ceased to ask questions?
One thing idea that the course presents quite a bit that I really love is to also remember to just throw some wood into the fire, um, that when we the sight of forgiveness, the choosing to forgive, you're not seeing things with your eyes. It's coming from a heart place, basically.
Right. Right. Parajat says, I think forgiveness and forget requires choiceless awareness, which is to say, actions should not be based on memories because everything changes. A change of heart, mind, etc. Nature is based in change.
I don't know. I have to read that. I have to read that slower.
Okay, I'll pin it for you.
Okay. I don't know if I know how to do that. Read the pins, but
Should be a little highlight.
I think forget. Here it is. I think forgive and forget requires choiceless awareness. Choiceless awareness. That's an interesting. Requires choiceless awareness, which is to say, action should not be based on memories. True enough, because everything changes. It does. A change of heart, mind, etc. Nature is based change. I'm with him all the way through until nature is based change, because I don't personally feel like I am also clear about nature. I like to include nature in the big picture of things. I Because nature is a part of creation. Yeah.
Um, let's see. I've always loved the expression choiceless awareness.
Uh-huh.
And I actually first heard that probably in the 80s reading Krishnamurti. Uh, he talked about that. And then in the um, 90s, early 2000, practicing shamatha meditation, which is choiceless awareness. You observe the thoughts, you label them, you come back to the breath. So you're you can even count if you want. Breathing in, you count one. Breathing out, you count two. You get to 10, you start over again. Eventually, you want to be able to count just one breath. Breathing in, breathing out, one. Breathing in, breathing out, two. And eventually let the counting go. But when a thought comes by, and they always do, uh, you simply observe the thought. You can give it a label, and you let it go. It sort of dissolves within the label. Um, so like if the thought comes up, you can even just thinking, thinking, thinking. You let it go, and that becomes choiceless awareness, because any thought is as good as any other thought. So yeah, I've always liked that.
I don't know about that either. Any thought is, well, yeah, in that they're all thoughts.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
choiceless awareness. But I think I know where you were gonna go with. You want a thought. Uh, a thought from the ego is always going to give you ego results.
I was just gonna say, the mind is very powerful.
Right.
The mind is always on, and I don't have to say that. I don't have to attach thought to the mind, but they do go together in many
Sure.
respects. Yeah.
Well, thoughts are wonderful indicators. What teacher am I choosing? If I'm having unloving thoughts, I'm obviously choosing the ego. If I'm having loving thoughts, I'm choosing the Holy Spirit. If
Yeah.
I'm having thoughts of any type of destruction um, from the ego, if I'm having thoughts of creation, then I'm choosing the Holy Spirit.
Right, you're talking about right-mindedness and wrong-mindedness, basically. But yeah, the idea is to not throw the baby out with the bathwater, meaning that um, thought is also a gift, and used well, it can be very wonderful and powerful. It can be your ally, it can
Right.
be an avenue to well-being and healing.
Our friend Mind Stretcher says forgiveness is hard because it is usually guided by feelings, hard to control, to where forgiveness is about a choice of mind. Feelings are based in the heart.
Mm. Can you pin that one for me too?
Yep.
Okay, forgiveness is hard because of it is usually guided by feelings. Um, I get that. I get what he's saying there, or she. I don't know if Mind Stretcher is a man or a woman. Forgiveness is hard because it is usually guided by feelings. I'd agree, generally speaking. Hard to control. Okay, to where forgiveness is about a choice of the mind. Feelings are based in the heart. I'm good with all of that, Mind Stretcher. Only that that's something to recognize too, is that mind and heart are together. They're not, they're, I mean, you can, it's very unusual to have feelings that aren't somehow associated with your mind, or, thoughts that aren't somehow associated with your feelings. The two things go together.
Right. I think this is a perfect time to reiterate the fact that we are not forgiving. We are not the ones who are doing the forgiveness. So, yes, forgiveness on the level of the body, forgiveness on the level of form is hard, if not impossible. Um, because we're instead of forgiving, we're really negotiating that I will,
Bargaining, right.
yeah, right. I will pardon you when I'm good and ready, when I
Mhm.
think you've earned it, when you deserve it, when I feel better, when I've forgotten, when it no longer hurts.
Yeah,
Um,
when you jump through whatever loops I've set up for you to jump through.
right. Um, and or I will be forgiven when someone makes me jump through their loops.
Right.
And I'm willing because I want to feel better. I'm willing to jump through those hoops. I'll go ahead and do. I'll do what's necessary as long as you forgive me. Um, but the forgiveness that's being offered here is not one of our control. There's no such thing as not being forgiven when it's turned over to the Holy Spirit, because to the Holy Spirit, everything has already been judged and has been judged loving, nothing but
Yeah,
love.
it's recognition is what it's talking about. It's forgiveness is about, the recognition that whatever we're seeing or believing or feeling or thinking even isn't really there. It didn't occur. In the greater picture, it did not occur.
Right. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you read this new pin comment?
Yeah. Fear of long words is called Hippopotomonstrosis quipedaliophobia. Fantastic. I love it.
Well done.
Hippopotomonstrosis quipedaliophobia. I like it. Thank you for that.
I thought, man, I thought I was putting one over on you that you were going to be unable to pronounce it, and you
No,
dove right,
I'm just only because I'm a big fan of all the phobias.
right. You dove right in. Kat
All right.
says, thanks to Yogi for turning me on to Gary. Kat is getting quite a bit out of Gary Bernard, who
Oh
uh,
wow.
I've
Okay.
reached out to once again, and he's saying possibly in January.
What?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll be a big one for me. Um, did you have a chance to? Who did I have on this weekend?
Reverend. I saw
Oh,
parts of it. I couldn't get through the whole thing. I had to break it up into bits. But I went back like 4 or 5 times.
um, did you see how I skated upon the edge of controversy?
No.
Right on the edge, talking a little bit about politics.
Oh,
Yep,
really?
just a little bit.
Okay.
Didn't didn't go. Um,
Full
and it
hour,
was
huh?
it was interesting. Because Reverend Tony is fairly political, and he is very opposite in many ways that I am. And I absolutely love being able to talk to him without it being um, oh yeah, well, your guy, my guy, um, type of discussion. We talked politics, we didn't get political, which was very nice because it's how, to me, it's how the course should go through politics, as we are forgiving what's presented without making the other person wrong. And I can still go ahead and vote and believe how I wish, but I'm no longer, in my mind, persecuting someone because they don't agree with me. I don't know
So
why they don't.
so
I don't know why they don't agree with me.
I was just like, I'm good. As long as like you didn't wear a hat that says democracy on it, and you didn't wear a hat that says, make America great
Right.
again.
Kat said, no, I appreciate this. Kat says Yogi was being all sexy and dangerous. So, you're not supposed to laugh.
No, I'm laughing because it's a funny comment. Come on.
Okay,
No,
okay.
because this bit with the baseball caps, it did happen to me one time. I must say I wasn't as suave as you were. I was on an airplane, and I'm always like kind without being pushy to the people that I sit next to, especially on long flights, like because I want them to see that I'm a polite person, and just they need to get up to go down the hallway to the bathroom, and I'll move out of the way or whatever. Just basic stuff, basic courtesy. But this guy got on the plane. He was sitting next to me, and he had a NRA hat, like National Rifle Association hat on. And I said to him, "Is that an NRA hat?" And he's like, "Yeah." And his wife was sitting in the seat in front of me, and she's like, "Yeah, he's a lifetime member." And then all of a sudden I realized I didn't have anything else I could possibly say the rest of the trip. Like it was just like like,
Right.
heavy curtain fell on my ability to speak or something.
Um, I do my best to, yeah, I obviously am not a political channel, but we get politics thrown at us sometimes. And I do my
Yeah.
best to navigate it all with grace and kindness.
Good for you. Yeah, no. I'm sure you're better at it than I'm not great at navigating that stuff. Like I just shut down. Like yeah. I
Um,
get judgmental. I think people are lunatics. So fine. They think I'm a lunatic. Fine. I'm good with
right.
that.
Adam says he probably needs to read Gary Renard.
Hmm.
It's been said that Disappearance of the Universe can save a student 20 years of studying the course.
Say that again. That being a what student of the universe can save us
That
what?
reading a Disappearance of the Universe as a course student,
Mm-hmm.
reading Disappearance of the Universe can save a student 20 years of course study.
Oh, I don't know about that. I get. Yeah, I mean, maybe for some people, maybe. Um, it wasn't my experience. I mean, I just keep going back to the course,
Right.
no
It,
matter
it,
what.
it clarified a lot of things for me. But
Mhm.
more importantly, it made me do what you just said to dive full time into the course.
Right.
Um, because it kept pointing out, I it kept pointing out it never steered away from the course, and it consistently said, in the course, in the course, in the course. Uh,
Right.
it didn't say the course and yoga, the course and Buddhism, the course and said the course. It's the course that we're studying, um, and I really appreciate that. Bye, Cora.
No, I mean, I I've listened to everybody that come across book wise too, because I like to go, oh, would I look at it that way? Like, you
Good,
know,
me too.
you know,
So
and sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's different. Yeah.
let me ask you that: Is there has there been a book that has been more influential to you as far as the course goes? Return to Love, Disappearance of the Universe.
I'm so glad you asked that question. I'll try to find it maybe for next time. I've got it on the shelf sometimes. Actually, there's a book that I love, and it's called Miracles to Share. And it's actually a book for children. Like somebody was, a course person, and they just made like a little like book of doodles to like give like a very children's ver- a children's version, simplified, but to the point, like succinct in a certain way. And I adored this book. It's called Miracles to Share. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Um,
And
think
its big thing is be a love finder. Don't be a fault finder.
I love that. Thank you again, Cor. Um, Jerry Jabowski,
Hmm.
Love's Letting Go of Fear. One of my earliest introductions before even the course.
Hmm.
I didn't even know I was reading about the Course in Miracles, actually. Um, and then it was Marianne Williamson that made me say, okay, I need to buy the course, Return to Love. Um, Still haven't heard back from my message that I sent her on Instagram. Um,
Oh.
but I have connections now,
Oh yeah.
so I'm putting out the feelers. We'll see what's going to happen. Um, Sometimes I wonder, had I been exposed very first to Robert Perry versus Kenneth Wapnick, um, how would my view of the course be different? Because now Kenneth Wapnick is very insistent upon the Course in Miracles uh, being non-duality.
Mm.
Robert Perry thinks otherwise. I think personally, I think it's a matter of splitting hairs, but um, I think if you, it seems to me a lot of times that you tend to hold the first view that really excites you, and um, I might think about asking Robert Perry to come up. I really enjoyed Emily,
Hmm.
um,
Me too.
but
Yeah, I I, I've seen the argument. I guess there's a website. Yeah, Tony Ponticello. He's one of the moderators of the Course in Miracles
yeah,
site on Facebook or whatever. And big group, 50,000 strong or whatever. Um, and that argument comes up all the time, like every day. Somebody, there's just people insist one way or the other. And it's like, for me, it's just complete non-issue. Like
right,
they go together, they go, there is one, right? And um and the our way of um sharing and communicating is going to, and our perceptions, and the perceptions of others is dualistic, it's relational.
yeah. The course is practiced in non-duality because you need the appearance of another to see the non-dual nature of us all, that we are God. Funny because Tony had me really laughing when he said, "I don't believe that we turn into God mush. That when we um, transcend or when we've learned our final lesson, that
Mhm.
we are just God mush. We are we've returned to the mush of God, and there's nothing else. He's doesn't believe that. Um,
Funny, I just had a funny little message go cling in my brain, which is, it's like, um you can't, you can only forgive others. You can only forgive others. You can't forgive yourself, but forgiving others is to forgive yourself. It's the same thing.
it is
Yeah,
all right. So one thing our conversation has been lacking,
I know. I can guess. Fishful.
fishbowl. Anyone want an imperative yanked out from the very depth of the infinite bowl of imperatives?
This is wow. Dear Janelle Dog, although I sometimes pat myself in the back for not becoming a missile defense person, which UAH tried to encourage. That I don't, UAH is University of something or other, maybe, tried to encourage that path. Wow. Yeah. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay.
So, Kat is trying to tell us something about the imperatives, something about me, 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 me,
Oh,
me.
really? How many me's are there? 4 me's. Wow. That's like the seagulls on the wire. Meow, 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 meow.
And Sissy says, yes, please.
Okay. All right. Well, you just tell me the names. Right now, I'm reaching in deep, deep for cat. Me, 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 me. Cat, me, 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 me. Cat, me, 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 me. It says, look on your brother with the willingness to see him as he is.
Wow. I already know right off the bat that that was perfect for Kat.
Okay.
That has been uh, a lesson that we've talked about. What do you think,
All
Kat?
right. It says there's a second part to it. That's the first part. It's actually a double imperative. So the first part says, look on your brother with the willingness to see him as he is. And the second part is, and do not keep a part of him outside your willingness that he be healed.
We got some love from Kat.
All right. Love back, cat. Love back. So I'm going to pull an imperative for Soulsy Sisters.
Why did that sound painful? Like you were at a track meet and you pulled an imperative.
Wait, I didn't understand. What sounded about painful? How he said
Um,
Soulsy's name?
like a no, like I'm pulling a muscle. You know, like I limped up to my coach and said I can't play. I pulled an imperative. Um,
Yeah, this they just go on and on. All right, Soulsy Stars. Soulsy Stars. Ah, interesting. Soulsy Stars says, reach for my hand because you want to transcend the ego.
so whose hands are we reaching for?
The Holy Spirit's.
And we can
Which I
also,
did.
if
I
it's
did enjoy that part of the conversation. That was part of the conversation that you had with Rev that I did like. Is when you guys started talking about what's metaphor and what isn't metaphor. I was like, "Oh, this
right,
will be
right,
fun." It's all
yeah,
metaphor.
I thought he was really on point
Mm.
with that. I thought he was point throughout actually. Not that I agreed with everything, but he was. I found nothing that I would say, you know, no, no, no. Um, it was all a big yes, but maybe I see things a little differently. Type of conversation. Um, let's see. Adam would like an imperative. One thing I wanted to mention though, that when we say the Holy Spirit being uh, we could also offer a symbol if you're more comfortable joining hands with Jesus or Krishna or Buddha.
It's all good. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's just staying on my non-religious thread. In fact, today I bought a huge round canvas, big old round canvas, because this is this is a terrible, terrible religious. Forgive me if I sound sacrilegious. Um, I bought this huge round canvas because I'm going to paint on it a giant strawberry. Hmm. Because I'm not religious. I've never been baptized, never been Christian, never got a church. I mean, I've been in a church, but I've never like been in a religion basically ever. And but my daughter was born in Rome, and so because the Italian part of the family and the grandmother and whatever. So she wanted to do this, getting her first communion or whatever in the church. So I don't want to say she was like 8 or 9 years old or something like that. And we had been discussing and arguing, you could even say, about God the whole week before this event because she, she was I was like, it's not, a guy with white beard flying up in the sky. And she was like, "Well, you're not Catholic. What do you know?" It's like, okay. And I was like, "No, God is love, you know." So I was like, let's ask the priest, Father Mauro was his name. Let's ask the priest. So we go to Father Mauro and we say, "Hey, Father Mauro, Jillian and I have been discussing God," and he was like, "Oh, good, you know." And so we have a question: Is God love? And I was like, "Sure." He's like, "How can you say that God is not love, right?" Father Mauro said, "Well, if God isn't love, then why do we have to confess?" And it was just like so contorted. And I was just like, Jesus. Anyway, it was a big mess. And it was the morning that she had to go to her first communion. And she woke up from her bed and she was screaming. And she's like, "Mom!" And I run in there. I was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "I dreamed that God was a giant strawberry." And I was like, "Yay! I win."
And who's to say he or she isn't?
Right. Well, that's so I'm making her this painting of the giant strawberry. And then I had to
Awesome.
decide today whether I should write on the front of the painting or on the back of the painting. This really stupid joke, which is, what did the baby strawberry what did what did the how does it go? Why was the baby strawberry crying?
Why?
Because its mother was in a jam.
It is both. Well, all three. It's sweet, funny, and heartbreaking,
Mm, mm,
all at once.
mm. Right.
By the way, Adam says University of Alabama in Huntsville,
Oh, okay.
so
Well,
home
I'm
of NASA.
glad they didn't succeed too. I don't think that that was to be part of your your destiny, Adam.
So this
All
one
right.
is for Adam, and then Sniper wants one too, and of course, left-handed.
Of course. A horse is a horse, of course, of course. Do you remember that?
I do. We actually sang it, I believe, on our Chris and I, Nature's Dog Realm,
Oh,
on
yeah?
our theme song night,
Okay.
which we're doing December. Now I can't remember. Uh, it's going to be on a Monday night, her and I.
Yeah, I guess already done the Brady Bunch too.
Yep.
Okay. This is for Adam, and it says, excuse me. Mm. Be not deceived about the meaning of a fixed belief that some appearances are harder to look past than others are.
All right. It fits in with what we
Miracles.
were talking about.
No miracles or no gradations. All possible.
Yep. And it's the nature of forgiveness that um, there's uh, there is no block thicker than another preventing us to forgive, preventing us to. There's no block to the awareness of love that keeps us from forgiving, larger than any other. All of it's an illusion.
Yeah, I like to think again, even that, like, there's a part in the teacher's manual that says even that we get to a place where we realize that we're not the ones who determine what is and is an illusion. Like, we think we go through this whole process and then we get to a certain point and then we realize, oh, we didn't even have the tools to uh determine that. And that's when you just like throw your hands up in the air and just go, okay, no more
Yep.
judgment, because I don't got that going on. Incapable in any true sense.
All
So
right.
I'm going in with the left hand now.
The left, all the way in the bottom.
I've been doing left hand all the way. Yeah, definitely a bottom feeder, this one. definitely. Okay. And this is for our friend Chipmunk, who everybody else calls Squirrel Sniper. Wow. And it says, bring only this awareness to the sonship. Eric will have to explain what the sonship is. Bring only this awareness to the sonship, and you will have a part in the redemption as valuable as mine. God's Son is saved. All right. Do you want me to run through that? I will.
Yes.
Okay. Bring only this awareness to the sonship. So the sonship would be what Solzy calls the collective. Um, the human beings here on the planet. And the awareness, the only awareness that you should bring to them to have a part in uh, redemption, and redemption is valuable if it's valuable as mine, meaning to make your part in the redemption of humankind as valuable as that of Jesus, basically, is that God's Son, and according to the Course in Miracle, God's Son is creation. That's something to get to. God's Son is saved. So it's already taken place. We have to arrive with our perceptions there, with right perception. But that's already happened. To not be that who says that's impossible, or that won't be, or to not use our mind to just detract further
Right.
from the truth by choice.
You mentioned creation.
Yeah.
Which I like. And
you and me both. Big creation fan.
Yes. Future conversation. Creation and creating are function here.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
What we create is made of love. Our true creation is made of love.
Is extension. Our true creation is extending the love that we are created out of.
Right. And
Because
I
we
love
didn't
thinking
create ourselves. Yeah.
I love thinking about that in a very, especially we have some of our artist friends here, Adam
Mm-hmm.
being one. Sniper. Speaking of Sniper, did you see the wonderful gift that he carved for
I
Tiger King?
did see it, and I was very, very impressed. But I haven't seen Tiger King's reaction. Like, did he say anything?
He did. He finally saw it. He came in here and we posted a link for him. Cat
Mm-hmm.
dropped a link for Tiger King to go see it, and
Brilliant.
he was his word gobsmacked.
Wow. Cool. Yep. Rocking.
But I love the thought.
No, go ahead.
Our artistic expression, when we can come from a place of love, is truly an extension of God's will. That we are creators and our job is to create from love, extending that love. And I love the fact that we can bring that to the canvas. We can bring that to a giant strawberry. We can bring it to writing a blog post. We can bring it in a carving for a friend, which again was just a beautiful act. We can bring it in a portrait of someone's son. That when we're artists, we are meant to be artists.
Life is art.
Yeah, find your means of extension, whatever that might be.
Life is art. That.
Yep. So said Mr. Garfunkel.
What about Mr. Garfunkel?
Life is art.
Oh, really?
He has a very high opinion of himself.
Oh, Art Garfunkel, yeah.
Yes. But you know who has a bigger opinion of himself? Paul Simon has a very high opinion of himself.
That's interesting.
Maybe deservedly so. He's a very talented person.
Very, very talented. He did something really lovely. One of the best free concerts I ever went to was in a park in Rome called Villa Borghese. Um, After the Twin Towers um thing, he did a world tour of free concerts, and he played for like 4.5 hours, and all these old hippies on blanket smoking pot listening to Paul Simon. It's great, and he played everything. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I saw him in concert during the Graceland tour,
Hmm.
uh, and he was he played everything. He did an acoustic reggae version of "Bridge Over Troubled Water,"
Wow.
um, which you wouldn't think would work in that way, but it did very well. And that's one of my favorite songs.
It's
And
a
I've always
beautiful.
said I think the theme song of my channel should be "Feeling Groovy."
Hmm. I actually listened to him today. I listened to an a cappello, which is just the voice version of "This Is My Song for the Asking." It just came out on YouTube, where
Oh, cool.
it was like some recording that had been made, and it was just his voice with it was just the vocal track with no instrument whatsoever, and Art Garfunkel is not on it. And it was like, wow, he's got a beautiful voice.
Um, yeah, he does. You know, and I think he is. I think he rivals Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney as one of the great songwriters of his generation.
Yeah.
I'd put those three up as sort of as I I don't know, the pinnacle of. Of course, I can't have. I love Paul McCartney, but I can't have him alone because I think his best stuff was done with Lennon and McCartney. Um, I think that Paul McCartney needed that little bit of an edge that John Lennon put in there, and that maybe John Lennon needed a little bit of the softness that Paul McCartney brought. But not that they weren't great equally on their own, but together they were, you know, the Beatles, the soundtrack of my entire life. Really, there's never been a point in my life when there hasn't been the Beatles.
Yeah, I my oldest brother really wanted to, when they did their last concert in California, he really wanted to go, and I think he was about 10 years old or something. I was talking about 1965, I think. And he really wanted to go, and he asked my mom if he could go to, this concert with friends, and she said, "No, you're too young." And it was the last time they ever played in California. And then he died. My brother died when he was like 27, and he never forgave her.
Well,
Like, it was like, never.
you told me once who we talked about this. Who was your first concert?
My first concert, God, who did we talk about this?
I think
I'll
so.
have to remember. I know who my first album was. Bread, I think. But my first concert, who was my first? Because I saw all those musicals, so I had gone. I had seen Godspell, and I'd seen who was my first concert? I'm trying to think where I was at. Wasn't the Tubes? You remember the Tubes?
I do remember the two.
um, Might have been the Tubes. No, no, it was Sarah Vaughan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
A little bit of jazz.
yeah.
Mine was Temptations and the Four Tops, and it was disappear. It was disappointing
Mm.
because it was basically medleys, and I wanted to hear the whole song, the actual songs, and they just
Okay.
traded back and forth medleys of each other's songs, um, and so it was a little disappointing for a first
Mm.
concert. Being at the time a fan of Motown, I'm less of a fan of
I
Motown.
love, I love. For me, for cleaning my house, Motown is top, like
Is it?
energy wise.
Motown is one song rearranged in many different songs. Um, okay, I'm going to say the worst of it. The best of it is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the the girl bands in Motown, I absolutely love. Um, and of course, Stevie Wonder got his start in Motown. You gotta love Stevie Wonder. Um,
Little Stevie.
little Stevie. Uh, Shoot, who am I thinking of? Um,
No, there's Michael.
yeah, Michael, the Jackson Five got their start. I had the Jackson Five Christmas albums. One of the first albums I got for Christmas. I got John Denver's Greatest Hits, which I absolutely loved and still love.
It was
Um,
pretty hard, and a lot of people don't understand, because they know Michael Jackson after he was big, but when he was like 6, he was like amazing. He had perfect pitch. He could sing like a 47-year-old woman when he was 6 years old. It was amazing.
right?
He carried that band.
You sure it wasn't Tito
Yeah,
or Jermaine
yeah.
or the other one?
Hmm.
Um, Sam Cooke, Motown. Love
Amazing.
Sam Cooke, but
Love Sam Cooke.
perfect, beautiful voice. One
Hmm.
of my favorite voices. And Marvin Gaye, another beautiful voice.
And I'm trying to think of another person who Otis Redding.
Oh yeah, yep. Futon says, "Who are all these people they're talking about?" They're
from way
um,
on from 100 years ago.
yes. Hey, maybe we'll go all the way back and talk about Elvis.
Could do that.
Of course, a lot of people know Elvis, even if they don't know Elvis, because the icon. Same with like Michael Jackson. Uh, people might not even know Michael Jackson music, which seems incredible. But man, there's already a whole generation and a half since he passed away. People coming of age who probably never heard of him.
Right, right. That happened actually with my daughter and I. One time we were in London, and if you go to the theaters in the West End after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can get tickets which are reduced by 30 or 40%, so they're not as expensive. And so I was supposed to meet her there, and she said, can you see if you can get tickets for this one show? And it was on technology or something she was into. And and I couldn't get tickets for that show, but there was Beautiful by Carol King. The story, I think it was called Beautiful. And it was like it was a stage production of a biography of the life of Carol King. And I, wrote the kid a message. I said, "Well, I don't know if you've ever heard." She'd never heard of Carol King.
Well,
And I was like, "Okay." Well, she was like, "Somebody was around back in my day," and she
back in
wrote
the
about
day,
back in the day. You might like it. And so we went. It was great, and she showed up, which was like top. She surprised the show and the
well,
actors and the actresses by showing up, which was fun.
Tapestry is one of those albums that every single song is a certified piece of
Hey,
piece of art. Yeah,
yep,
it's just absolutely beautiful.
yeah.
There are a few albums. Cat Stevens, Tea for the Tillerman,
Hmm.
every single song. Um, the
I kind of feel
well,
that way about Ziggy Stardust too.
I would agree. I would agree.
Hmm.
Um, and I think Harvest, Neil Young's Harvest,
Right.
everyone.
Yep.
Crowded Souls and Ash, the first two albums,
Hmm.
Crowded Souls and Ash Young, I think, are classics. Not just classics, but you can take any of the song, any single song on the albums,
We
and
are really showing our age now. You know that, right?
we are. And actually, we're not even showing our age so much because that was older music for us. Yeah, super old.
What I really want to know, Eric, is did you ever listen to Casey Kasem in the top 40 on Sunday mornings?
I did. I
Yeah.
did. And actually, not even that far back. I used to listen to Casey. We used to listen to Casey Kasem on going to brunch on satellite radio of
Hmm.
his past shows. Every
Oh
Sunday would
wow.
be every Sunday would be a different year. uh, and it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah. One time he did, instead of just like the past week, the top 40 of the past week, he did the top 40 for the past 5 years, and we were all kids. And I remember that it got down, it was like in that program, the closer you got to number three, number two, number one, the commercial time would get longer and longer. So, first like 10 minutes of commercials and 15 minutes of commercials, then 20 minutes of commercials by the time you get to number one. And kids don't really kind of have that kind of patience. And I remember when he did this, top 40 for the past 5 years, and uh, it was number three was sugar, sugar, na 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 na.
The Archies.
Right.
Yep.
That was
I can
number
s-
three. That was
I
number
can
three.
I can sing that some
Yeah.
karaoke night. Remind me, and I will do that.
Okay. All right. And then number two, and we were like bumming. We were like, oh, kids. And then number two was raindrops keep falling on me. And then we were really bumming because that sounded like something our parents would listen to. And then it finally was like 20 minutes of commercials later, and then it was Hey Jude. And we were like so happy. We were jumping off the sofas and doing somersaults.
Um, do you remember trying to tape songs you loved off of the radio
Hmm.
and waiting all day for the song to come on, and hitting that cassette just at the right time? Do you remember ever
Yeah.
trying to tape
Yeah.
something and
Yeah.
then the DJ interrupts or starts
Hmm.
singing and the song? Crap, I waited
We
all that
play
time.
we played really bad versions. Like we were like a little partridge family, and like my brothers played guitar, I played piano, and one brother played trumpet, another brother played flute. So we would do some like really raunchy versions, like bad kid punk. It was funny though. It was fun.
So, you know, one of the great things for me growing up in my time was you still had the the bands from the '60s still being relevant, and you had great music from the '70s. You had new music emerging from the '70s. You had uh, heavy metal getting big. Still had hard rock. You still had the softer rock. You had Bread, one of your first albums,
Hmm.
um, and punk. But also, I was young. We talked about this last week. The advent of MTV
Yeah.
and new wave.
I don't personally, I think we have a disagreeing point. I don't think MTV was good for music because it did kind of what recording music, the difference between live music and recorded music, putting everything in video kind of let people have an alteration from just being able to perform live music well.
Okay. Counterpoint.
Mm.
Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah, but I think of it more as a film.
Okay.
I'm but he was an itinerant performer. I'd still watch the Jackson 5 reruns from when he was 5 or 6 years old. Amazing.
One of the great things to watch is the MTV Music Awards when Michael Jackson moonwalked for the first time and the place
Mhm,
went crazy. No one
mhm.
had ever seen anything like that. What a
Yeah.
performer Michael Jackson was.
Mhm, mhm.
But in my opinion, as great as Michael was, Prince was just a superstar of superstars. I
Yeah.
watched him play at a tribute to George Harrison,
Mhm,
and he had all great musicians. Jeff Lynne
mhm.
from ELO.
I've seen videos of that. Yeah.
It's amazing video because all these great guitar players, and they gave Prince a solo, and
He's
he
a
felt
musician's musician. He
right.
is.
He had felt slighted a little bit, um, but he didn't feel like maybe he was given the respect that he was due. He had a bit of an ego, So when he was given, it was supposed to be this short little guitar solo,
Mhm.
and he just went off. And
Yeah.
every other great musician that was up there stood in awe of Prince. And when he was finished, he threw his guitar up in the air. It never came down. No one ever saw it come down. As far as I know, it is still revolving around the world. It hit that zero gravity point, and now it's just floating
Like a
around the universe.
satellite. Hmm.
Yes, absolutely amazing. So,
I had seen a while back, and I like what Squirrel Sniper. I agree. MTV was the end of music. Thank you for saying that, Chipmunk. I agree in a certain way. Um, he had said something a ways back about Mary Magdalene. I just kind of wanted to see what he said about that. Do you see that? You're as behind in the comments as I am.
um, I'll say one more thing about MTV though.
Mm.
It gave a lot of people from the '70s uh, relevance again. ZZ Top, who had basically fallen away, and they came out with Legs and um, what was one of the other big ones, and they became massive hit makers. Dire Straits, which they were sort of an underground. Um, you'd hear them on the radio, but they weren't huge. But with MTV, they became large. I mean, like super super big. So a lot of those bands that might have fallen off, um, but that's a plus and a minus because the worst stuff ZZ Top ever put out was the '80s stuff. That the worst stuff Kenny Loggins ever put out was the '80s stuff. Um,
Yeah, I just think appearing a certain way and sounding a certain way are very, very are I separate those. I don't group them together. Not only, but what's really much worse is that from 1973 until 1988, I didn't have a TV, and I don't have a TV now, so I couldn't really do MTV much.
someone that's been someone in Italy. Uh, what are your thoughts on opera?
On?
Opera?
Ah, I used to have a boss who used to listen to opera in America, and it kind of drove me crazy. I didn't like it at all. It like rubbed me the wrong way. And then I the first opera I saw in Italy was La Tosca, and every scene in this opera, La Tosca, was all in my neighborhood, so I could like walk within 10 minutes from my house to all the scenes where the opera actually takes place, and that changed things for me because I understood like the drama, where this over drama, hyper drama thing was coming from. And that helped me a little bit. Um, uh, so I acclimatized to it. It's still not. It wasn't my first love,
Right.
but I did acclimatize to it. Speaking of, do you know Rosalia?
No.
Rosalia is a new performer. She was a pop performer, and she just recently kind of diverted, and she finished one label contract, and so she could just do whatever she wanted. And she sings in like 9 different languages, and she sang a song which is very operatic, but it's like new opera, fresh. It's just
Huh.
like it's like opera flavored. There you go. And the name of it is Il mio Dio piange diamante. My Christ. No, my Christ cries diamonds is the name of it.
Oh
It's
wow.
really good. Really
Pretty.
good.
I was that
But
way with jazz
hmm
when I was first introduced. Says I don't get it.
yeah.
Don't get it. Sounds like noise.
Hmm.
Um, and something later on clicked,
Hmm.
and it became. absolute love. And I thought, how
Mhm.
come? How does it sound the same thing that I heard a decade previously? How does it sound so different now?
Mhm.
Um, Absolutely love jazz. Probably right now, jazz, classical, my preferred listening.
Wow. I like vocal jazz a lot.
Um, I I think jazz is maybe the closest to, classical music for me is the music of the spheres, music of the cosmos. I think classical music has been received, um,
Mhm.
and I think jazz is as close to that modernly as possible.
Yeah, I guess in some jazz, not in all jazz, but in not in better jazz, but in like in a lot of jazz, there's a lot of what is it called? Virtuosity. People just kind of trying to show off what they can do, and it's now it's my turn, and now it's my turn, and listen to this
Right.
bass line, and aren't I cool? And so there's a lot of like kind of there can be a lot of show offy stuff. It doesn't really interest me too much.
What I like though is when it all comes back together.
Right.
And the another group that really did that amazingly so, as if there was and I think there actually was a psychic connection between the band members,
Hmm.
was Grateful Dead.
Hmm.
That they would do. Uh, they had two sections. One was called Space, which was just far out acid rock music. You never knew where it was going to go. Everyone danced slow hippie dance. You know what I mean? And then somehow it would start taking shape of a song, and even the Dead didn't know what song was going to come out. But it would go right into a well-known song,
Hmm.
and the whole stadium or whatever concert venue we were in would all of a sudden just go wild. You
Right.
would
Yeah,
recognize that
yeah,
song,
yeah.
and the dance would change to
Hmm.
something energetic.
Hmm.
And then there was drums.
I'm so glad you're bringing that up because it's one of the things in modern algorithms that I just can't stand, like with music apps and things where they think that if you listen to one sort of beat, say, 128 of speed, a certain speed of song with a certain beat, that all your songs should be on that beat because that's a beat that you like that rhythm. And instead you just named something really important, which is mix it up.
Yeah.
Like you have a slow song, you have a fast song. For me, it was a big thing. I remember when there were songs that had fast bits and slow bits to be able to slow dance even during the fast bits.
Um, that was a wonderful thing about the Dead shows. They were Um, some people used to say the argument was, how can you dance at a Dead show? And the counter argument was, how can you not dance at a
Right.
Dead show? Um, but it's a different type of dancing. You're not going to moonwalk across a field or a stadium listening
Right.
to the Dead, but you're going to get very primitive. You're going to get very,
Stoned.
rhythmic.
You're
That
gonna get
you're
very, you're gonna get very stoned.
right. So all this time we've been talking,
People have
and
been writing things and we've been
Cat's
ignoring them.
Cat's been carrying the torch for Course of Miracles the entire time.
Bless her heart. Yay, cat. Oh, I was just going to say one last thing about vocal jazz. Diane Reeves. Stop. That's it. End of subject. Just my imagination. You should listen. Everybody should listen to that. Really great.
Sissy said, even though I don't know squat about mainstream music, I do have favorite songs, and bluesy rock jazz is my favorite genre. Subgenres rock and roll never dies. So I listen to less rock now than I used to, only because um, it's so familiar. Like I said with the Beatles, it literally is a soundtrack of my life. I don't love it any less. Um, uh, it's that um, I know it's always there. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's
Sure.
the great thing about having that backdrop. It's there forever. Um, you know, I used to even recently with a group of friends. We have so many someone will say something and it triggers a musical lyric and we throw it back at them.
Yeah. I used to come up with me teaching language all the time. Like somebody would say a word, a musical being would get triggered in my head, and then it's like I have to sing that line.
Talking lucid
He said,
dreams.
"Set an intention for the dream." I'm reading now, but I'm not. I don't think. Yeah, I am at the bottom. Madam Butterfly.
Cat wanted a lucid dream so she could harass me in my sleep.
Lucid dreams are very cool. I have I had a really crazy lucid dream in which I had the same dream that I had a week previously, where I get on a swing and it's swinging out of control. So I stepped in my dream, making it lucid, and I said, "Okay, like, what do I do to like, what is the power that is making the swing swing?" And it was, um, kind of anxiety and fear. And so I said, "Okay, well, I'll just do yoga. I'll just breathe, and calm everything down. And then maybe if I calm everything down, then whatever is that force that is making the swing swing, then it will calm down." And it worked like a dream. I just calmed down, the swing slowed down. But the problem was that I calmed down. I got so calm that I fell asleep, and in my dream. So I fell asleep in my dream, and then I had a dream inside my dream.
Well,
Yeah. And I had it was more precisely a vision, and it was like my vision of, I was on a rope swing, like out in the forest, like Tarzan. And um, it, I saw my body on the floor of the forest. And what had happened is that I had relaxed so much that I'd like fallen asleep and fallen off of the swing. So then I woke up from my dream within my dream, and everything was okay. So I'm good now. All good now. That was Heather telling a little lucid dream story. Okay.
uh, my instructor, our friend Dennis, he's done lucid dreaming. Uh, Used the method from popular science when he was a teenager. Nice.
Hmm.
I have several books on lucid dreaming. I've done a little bit of study on Tibetan dream yoga.
I
It's
kind of
interesting.
had to. I kind of had to do lucid dreaming to not do repetitive dreaming.
Huh.
Because I was
That's
like always like falling out of buildings and stuff and waking up, and so I
right.
was like, had to learn how to slow my body down in flight.
Hey, Ramen. S. Dot says, if you see me on your street, Yogi, don't worry. He's just dreaming. Uh, I'll be on the lookout for you.
Dream a little dream of me.
Adam says, good song, by the way. Mama
Yeah,
Cass did a really good
talk.
version of it, too.
Yeah, she had an
Beautiful
amazing
voice.
voice. She had a truly beautiful voice.
Oh, someone asked
Really.
me if I would sing something by the Carpenters, Karen Carpenter,
Yeah,
which
no,
would be.
I mentioned the Carpenters to you. I said,
Did you
what
mention
was
the
I
Carpenters?
asked you? No, I asked you what was your favorite Carpenter song.
No,
But I like rainy days and Mondays, and today is a Monday, and it's a rainy day.
is it? It's a
Yeah,
beautiful song. She's got a beautiful voice.
truly.
Adam says, question, Yogi, do you believe that possibly everything is received? It's a good question. And I'm going to say not everything. I think that we do receive inspiration in spirit from the Holy Spirit, um, but we can also, um, if we receive from the ego, and I think there's a lot of uh, things made of the ego, that it's part of the illusion. I think classical music's been received. I think maybe the Beatles have been received, and I think it's there forever. I think the Beatles will always be playing somewhere in eternity. Same with Bach and Mozart and Beethoven. I'm not sure that Steve Miller is going to be played in Eternity. Nothing, nothing against Steve Miller. I got a little issue with Steve Miller, but I'm not sure Bob Seger is going to be played in Eternity. So I think that we receive from Holy Spirit, but we can make things from the ego.
I'm there's a that's a beautiful distinction to make between what is created and what is made. And there are both what is created and what is made. But in an ultimate sense, I'm gonna become the non-dualist here, and I'm gonna
Well,
say that um everything is created.
okay, interesting.
Akashic records, you might not be listening to Steve Miller, but he's up there, he's in the records.
Man, don't make me reconsider Steve Miller. I, w-
I'm trying
I
to I'm
would.
trying to just remember the name of one song that I like. I think it's called The Joker or something.
It's not a bad song. He's not a bad musician. He's a great guitar
Mhm,
player. To me,
mhm.
he was always like 38 Special. That there's bands that are sort of there. You know what I mean? And then there are bands that are there. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
there's a
You know.
range, but
Yeah.
that's just, kind of, everything's that way, right? It's like there's like it's like blueberry pie. There's blueberry pie that kicks ass. It's just like amazing. It's at the top, and it can affect your um, the appeal of like lesser blueberry pie everywhere. Like once you've had great blueberry pie, you don't want to have icky, Denny's gluey blueberry pie. It's like, why bother?
Now there's a story of Tibetan peach pie,
Tell
which
me more.
is this will please Sniper. It's an esoteric pie found at the very top in Tibet, very top in the Himalaya mountains. It is said that one bite of the Tibetan peach pie and you gain enlightenment. And many have um, tried to find it. Hidden monastery deep in the Himalayan mountains. And one intrepid explorer made his way, talked to Lama after Lama, sage after sage, getting directions, getting misdirected. People wanted to steer him away. Tibetan peach pie is not meant for everyone. Only a few are called, and only a few listen to that call. Um, but again, he was very insistent on finding it, and he made his way to a cafe that seemed to be at the top of the world, and he ordered Tibetan peach pie. And the Lama who served him said, "We are all out of it. We just gave away our last piece." And the explorer said, "I'll have blueberry." That's the story. And he gained enlightenment. Do you know why? He gave up
He
preference.
was flexible.
Exactly. He gave up preference.
Right.
Peach
Right.
pie was as good as you just said. The best blueberry pie is the best blueberry pie. Um, and you know, if you don't have a preference, blueberry is going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There was a story told by Tom Robbins, um, one of my all-time favorite.
Both of us, I think we mentioned Tom Robbins a year ago or
Yeah,
something.
when
We're
he
both
passed away.
Tom Robbins big
Yep.
fan, big fans.
Um,
Look at Diogenald. He's mentioning Ms.Blipper. They might be giant song. Birdhouse is in your soul. Has more than 8 key changes. Bless their hearts. It's a band that both Adam and I really like a lot. Called They Might Be Giants. I don't know if you've ever heard them before, but
I
they're
have.
great. They're great.
Um, hey, are you subscribed to our friend Ramen, brand new friend?
I don't know.
He has been trying to get to 100. He made it, and for whatever reason, he lost some subscribers.
Oh no.
Um, and I announced earlier when we first came in, but we got some people who might not have been there. Hey, our friend Brian Lane is monetized. Um,
Woohoo.
just got it today. Go over and hit him up with a super chat or a
Okay.
super thanks or whatever.
Somebody, Lady Sky, of course. I'd be happy to get
All
you
right.
in an imperative. And I love
After
she
the
calls it a reading thing done.
Yeah,
Of course.
I think the
The
proper pronunciation would
fishbowl.
be reading thingy.
The reading thingy is the fishbowl of imperatives. And imperative is a grammatical term, which means it's like not in order, but it's an instruction like do this, close your eyes, sit down, relax, something like that. Okay,
So we'll wrap things up after the imperative.
great. And Lady Sky, my dear, call it not sin but madness. Cuckoo cuckoos. Call it not sin but madness. For such it was, and so it still remains. Invest it not with guilt, for guilt implies it was accomplished in reality. This is such a roundabout to what we
Yep,
started talking
and that
about.
is
Like
the
it
second
didn't
time
really occur, you know? It just
second
didn't
time that
really
I
happen.
second time
What?
I've heard that today.
Really?
Yep, reading the text and it came up. Um,
And then it says, and above all, be not afraid of it. And that's in big letters. So call it not sin but madness, cuckoos, cuckoos. For such it was, and so it still remains. Invest it not with guilt, for guilt implies it was accomplished in reality. It didn't occur. And above all, be not afraid of it.
to me, that's another holographic. It sums up the entirety of the course. But it's so hard for a lot of people to wrap their minds around that. Well, wait a minute, isn't this a sin? And they'll name the worst thing possible. Isn't this a sin? Surely it can't be madness. It has to be sin. But let's use the big example that you and I batted around before. Hitler. Was Hitler a sinner, or was he mad?
Well, again, it's like we're that's a decision to make real what you've seen and experienced, and there's another way to look at things.
Right. And also, if um, if Hitler was a sinner in the traditional way that we look at it, then that means there was a wonderful thing. I forget who said it. It was a survivor of the Holocaust that he said Hitler didn't come for me. Himmler didn't didn't round up my family and kill him. It was my local laundry person. It
Yeah,
was the cook. It
right.
was the people of Germany. So
And that is, the glue. I guess they're called egregore
right,
in the school of in the esoteric school. Well, maybe Chipmunk can talk about egregore one day. um, but how those kind of negative things, or the guilt induction, can be very gluey, very sticky. I had it really bad with the Romans. I live in Rome, and I live in a place where the Romans historically were the enemy of Jerusalem. They were the enemy of the Jews. They
right,
destroyed two temples. And they crucified Jesus. And so they've got you know and it's like the seat of the church, and those two things go together. The guilt, it's like pointing the finger at the other guy. It was
right,
the Jews. It wasn't. It was the Romans. um
and
but to not to get for me to get to a point where in my mind where I choose that's not um uh, that's not what I want. I don't want to see that. I don't
right,
want to be choosing to project guilt that way. And somebody actually told me about it. They were like, well, what if it was a train accident? You got, somebody got, speared by a steel rail on the train or whatever. Would you want to go lifetimes and lifetimes, you know, um, clinging on and pushing that guilt narrative? No.
Right. Um, and so if Hitler was a sinner in that sense, that made everyone who cooperated with him, almost an entire nation and other nations as well, sinners as well. But if it was madness, madness spreads, madness is insidious, madness connects and connects and connects and connects. Um, and there's a way to wake up from it. But if it's just sin, well, then the whole world's damned, right? Then everyone's a sinner, and that we deserve what we get.
But it gets down to, what do you want to see? And what we want to see is sinlessness. We want to see love. We want to see Christ. We want to see goodness, wholeness, freedom. You know.
What a beautiful choice of reality that we get to make. Um, and we do make it. And most of the time, that, and
We didn't
again,
create it, though. We didn't create
no.
it.
Um,
It's created. We're going for the will of God.
all right. We're going to wrap things up.
I
Last
love
what you said.
mine's, yeah, forgiveness is a super deep pool. Bless your heart. That it is. Everyone should learn how to do it with ease. Lovely. Else you will down in emotions. That's There's some truth to that. I choose control of my feelings, not the reverse. Hmm.
Lost you at the end.
Yeah, that the control, I guess awareness of feelings. I'm a little bit, when it gets to control, it's like, what do we control in the greater picture of things?
But
Nothing.
I'm gonna pull out my non-duality card and
Hmm.
say, who is it? When you explore the nature of the controller, who is the controller? And when you see the absence of the controller, there is none. The course says, people love to argue free will. The course says that free will is less prominent than we think. We have really one choice to make. We have the choice between ego, and we have the choice between the Holy Spirit. Ego plays out in the appearance of many choices,
Hmm.
but because it's an illusion, we're not really choosing anything. We're just choosing more illusion, more illusion, more illusion. Holy
Right.
Spirit is the absence of free will because it's the Holy Spirit. The Holy
Hmm.
Spirit just loves. There's no choice in love. There's
Yeah,
just love.
it's kind of like, it's almost a time question. Somewhere in the course too, it makes a comparison to the ego thoughts processes as being just like dust in the wind. If you want to sit there and catch, things just kind of dancing in the wind, but
Right.
you'll wear yourself out eventually. That
Hopefully.
way. Yeah,
Hopefully you will.
hopefully. Yeah.
Um, Speaking of, by the way, I do
Mhm.
sing "Dust in the Wind" on
Oh yeah.
karaoke night on occasion. I'm thinking that might have been a very subtle request for me to sing it. I took it that way, at least. So,
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't take Adam's like reference to they might be giants that way. So I do like their song "Don't Stop" a lot. Don't let it stop.
all
It's
right.
worth it.
So we'll wrap things up.
Love you, Miss Blipper. Love you too, Miss Cat. This was fun. Love you laughing.
It was fun.
Bless your hearts.
Um,
Don't forget to laugh.
so much fun. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds like an idea.
Do you know Lisa? Lisa Naomi. Lisa.
No.
She'll be up next week, I believe, on the 10th. Um, and I don't know if I don't have a whole lot of people lined up yet for this week, but Tom Wakechild is coming up again
Mhm.
tomorrow. Oh, they just sent me a message and said he's got a sore throat, so we'll see.
I'm trying to see what Adam said. I find it if I meditate and then bring out uncomfortable things with separation in that meditation and then let it flow through my feet, it helps. Okay, I like that.
All right, guys. So come on by and hang out 5:25 if you want. It's Monday. I'll be flying solo, just me.
All right. Lots of
Great.
love to everybody. Bye, Soul Stars. Bye,
And bye,
dear.
Ms.Blipper. Thank you so much. It's always fun.
To the next one.
Um, I always love returning here with you, no matter where else I wander on my YouTube travels. Mondays with Ms.Blipper, my anchor, my mainstay. Um,
Creation, creating, creativity.
let's keep that in mind for next week for sure.
All right.
All right,
Will do. Okay.
take care. Love you
Bye
guys.
bye. Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.